Hi, my name is Mercedes Hanson, and I'm a student in the Bio 282 class at Arizona State University. This presentation is designed to analyze the accuracy of a news story that is reporting research from a primary literature article. The news story I will be discussing is from Science Daily and is titled Mystery Giant Proton Pump Solved. This story reports information from the primary literature article called The Coupling Mechanism of Mammalian Respiratory Complex 1. This news story explores the research of Leonid Sazonov and his fellow researchers at the Institute of Science and Technology in Australia. This research team performed an experiment to study the role of complex 1 in cellular respiration. To introduce the research, the news story explains the basic function of complex 1 so its viewers have a better understanding of the purpose of the research Sazonov performed. They explain how in cellular respiration, complex 1 forms a proton gradient which enables the cell to create ATP, which is the cell's main source of energy. The news story then begins to describe the questions Sazonov and his research team were aiming to answer with their research. How do the interactions occurring within complex 1 actually move the protons to create the proton gradient? After performing an experiment called cryo-EM, the story reports that the researchers were able to determine the process used by complex 1. The news story explains that the result of this experiment showed how water molecules in complex 1 form a path for protons to move along, allowing them to travel across the cell membrane and form a proton gradient. The primary literature article introduces the research by highlighting the overall process complex 1 uses. An NADH molecule transfers 2 of its electrons to fuel 4 protons being pumped through the complex during cellular respiration. This article then explains how cryo-EM allowed for a better visual of how NADH works with the movement of protons through complex 1, revealing water's role in this process. The researchers at Institute of Science and Technology Australia determined water molecules act to move protons through complex 1. The research team observed that in order to do so, there is a helix found in part of complex 1 that opens up and rotates, allowing a critical water wire to form. This water wire is what permits the water molecules to move these protons along a path. Here is a figure I drew regarding complex 1 in cellular respiration based on the primary literature article. This figure shows the basic structure of complex 1 and demonstrates how protons are moved through the complex. Looking at the figure, you can see the overall shape of complex 1, with the colored regions being locations of binding sites found within the complex. You can see the NADH molecule bound to one of these sites at the top right corner of complex 1. This NADH will transfer 2 of its electrons, powering the proton gradient formation. As a result, we can see the 4 protons that are moved through complex 1 and that will eventually move across the cell membrane. By comparing the statements of the news story with the primary literature, it is clear that the news story can be considered accurate. First of all, the news story conveys the same information that can be found in the primary literature article. Because the findings of the research article are fully given in this news story, it is clear that the news story is a reliable and accurate source of information. Furthermore, there is nothing misrepresented in the data or findings as they are presented in the news story, with not only all of the information given, but also being correctly interpreted and shown. This news story can definitively be said to be accurate. And finally, here are all of my citations for this presentation. This includes the slide templates that I used to create this presentation, as well as the news story and primary article. Thank you.